today we'll be learning how to use AV Foundation to scan any type of QR code or barcode uh, in React Native's new architecture with Fabric. So you might already be aware that there is this library called React Native Vision Camera, but like I have tried to use this library and I was facing a lot of issues. uh, that's the first thing. Second thing is you whenever you if you want to try if you try to scan QR code or barcode with this library, you have to write a bunch of code. Like last time I checked, it didn't provided it by default, and this library tries to do lot of things at once. Like I don't like, if I want to scan a QR, I don't need all this kind of functionality. And lastly, I don't think this library supports React Native's new architecture with Fabric yet. It might in the future, but for now it does not support it. That's why I decided to build my own library with AV Foundation, and it's relatively simple, I would say. So yeah, just create a new React Native project, and we for now we will look into how to do with iOS, and in the next video I will talk about how to do with Android. And for Android I will be using Camera X. Again, I won't be using any third-party dependencies like install a node module, because that won't be correct. You won't learn anything. If installing a node module, you can do it by yourself as well. That's no big deal if a library is already available. But for now I didn't find any library for camera for scanning QR codes or barcodes in React Native's new architecture. So create a default project. I have created my project and it is named RN app. RN app. Okay. Next we have to enable the new architecture. So go to iOS and cd into your iOS directory and run this command. Again, I have repeated this in my previous video as well. You might face an issue when you run this command. First issue which you could face is this one, something related to this, and what you have to do is that you have to again cd to your project directory and run this, then again cd back to iOS directory and try to run this command back again. If you get another issue something like this, then you might want to try this, which resolved my issue. And there are some other answers as well which you can try. I also have a video on my channel regarding this, so if you want, you can check it out, where I explain it in more detail. So once you have enabled React Native's new architecture, and if you try to run yarn iOS, you should see fabric:(true) inside the terminal. Okay. Next we will go to the Fabric Native components documentation. It tells us to create there is this folder called RTN center text, but instead of that I have created, my folder name is RTN scan QR. And the other important thing to note is here is they have created this folder outside their React Native project, which I think is incorrect. This might help you if you want to create an open source library, but in my case I don't want to create an open source library, so I have created it inside my project. So RTN scan QR is part of RN app. Okay. Next, create Android, iOS and JS folder. So I have created Android, iOS and JS folder. Forget about the generated folder, that is created automatically when you run a command in the future. Next we have to create RTN center text native component.ts file, and we have to write our interface for this. So inside go to JS folder, and the naming is important. It should be RTN scan QR, same as my folder name, followed by native component.ts. And inside that everything is same, only this thing is changed. This should be your folder name, and this thing is changed. So whenever you scan a QR, you should get a callback from the native module, right? That whatever value has been scanned to the React Native side. That's why this is a event, kind of like a direct event handler. It will be more clearer once we go further in the video, but it takes a value string. So whatever value has been scanned from native module, it will be given back to React Native side inside this value thing, and the callback would be named on QR scanned. Next, create a package.json. Now this should not be inside the JS folder. This should be part of your rtn scan qr, and it should be a sibling to js. So you can see it is not inside the js folder. So I have created package.json and I have copy pasted almost everything. The thing which you need to change is this should be changed depending on what folder name you have entered. This should be changed and this should be changed. Okay, if you want you can change it over here as well. This is mostly related to GitHub, so I have not changed it. Next you have to create a podspec file for iOS. So create a podspec file and it should be sibling to package.json. It should not be inside the iOS folder. So I have created this podspec file. Again I have copy pasted everything. The only change I have made is rtn scan qr. Okay, we will ignore Android for now. Next, so you have to run this command. Now here they have done /rtn center text, but our folder is already part of our React Native project, so we have to do /rtn scan qr. So you have to do yarn add /rtn scan qr and not double dot slash. Okay, then you have to cd a dot from your project directory. So I will show you exactly what. So you are inside your project directory. Okay, you ran something like this, dot rtn scan qr, then it will add your folder inside node modules. Then what you have to do is that then you have to cd dot, it would redirect me to the desktop because my project is on desktop. And the next command which you have to run is something like this. So node your project name, node modules, React Native scripts, generate codegen artifacts.js / in the next line -- path, again your project name / next on the next line -- output path, project name, then your folder name rtn scan qr / generated /. Okay, here it looks a little bit different because the rtn center text is outside the project directory. That's why they have not included their project name in the third line, but in our case we have to include our project name. So you can pause the video and run this command. Once that command is run, you should see the generated folder. So this generated folder should be available to you. Next, okay, now you have to go to iOS folder and you have to create 3 files: rtn scan qr.h, rtn scan qr.mm, rtn scan qr manager.mm. Again, please be careful with the file name. Then once you have done rtn scan qr.h, just copy paste this code. Like it is similar to this file. The only difference is the name change of the file name, and this should be included because we are going to include AV Foundation to scan the QR code. So this should be there. Like even I don't have much knowledge about Objective-C, and I have just googled Stack Overflow and some Medium articles to see how to integrate AV Foundation with Objective-C. The reason is we can't do in Swift is we can do it in Swift, like I already have a video on it, but Swift with turbo modules is pretty easy. Swift with Fabric is quite difficult. Like if you try to do, you can try if you want to, but I had faced lot of issue and wasted a lot of my time on it. So it's better to use Objective-C++ for now, instead of trying to fight the React Native's new architecture. But in case I make future videos on turbo modules, I will be definitely using Swift. Like even I hate Objective-C++ and I don't want to work on it, because and it's quite surprising that Meta has still not does not have great support for Swift, given that it is already been a decade. Like Swift was launched in 2014, I guess. So yeah, there goes my rant, sorry about that. And then inside rtn scan qr.mm, okay, we'll come to this file last because it contains a lot of implementation. Then rtn scan qr manager.mm, and you have to write all of this. Again, I have copy pasted most of it from the documentation. Only the file name would be changed, and this would change because we are listening for the on QR scan event which we have defined in the TypeScript interface, if you remember. Okay, next, coming back to RTN scan QR, this is where the actual logic would be. Again, this is copy pasted from the documentation, only the file name would change. Okay, this is copied from documentation, copied from documentation, copied from documentation. Next, now this I have copied from Stack Overflow and a bunch of Medium articles. Basically, this is kind of creating variables for the AVCapture thing. Okay, now this is copied from documentation, this copied from documentation. Now this I have for I'm making an view. um, I'm not sure if you can use it something like this, but I have used something like this. I think I was facing some issues, I'm not able to recollect, but it's okay. Like, we can change the width and height from JavaScript side as well, so you don't have to worry about it. Like, you can just give 500 by 500 for now. Now again, this I have copied from the documentation. It is basically like creating that AVCapture thing, which will help us to open the camera and scan QR code. And this is kind of like an overridden method which you have to write, uh, and it will help you to capture the scan QR code. So yeah, you can just copy paste the code if you want to. I will put source codes link in the description, so you don't have to worry about it. Next, in update props, again from the documentation I have copied, but there won't be any props for this, so we don't have to worry. There will be only a callback for on QR scanned. Then the update layout matrix, because whenever you change the size of the camera from JavaScript side, the object this native component should know about it, so it can resize its size as well. And then again, copied from documentation, only file name should be changed appropriately. Next, inside there is one more thing. Go to your main iOS folder, rn app, go to info.plist, and here you have to write the camera permission as well, ns camera usage description. Okay, if you forget this, then your app will crash. Once this is done, okay, we have already done this. This is for Android, this is for Android. Okay, now in the end, again you have to run yarn add dot slash, not double dot slash, only a single dot slash rtn scan qr inside your project directory. And at the end, you have to run cd iOS. Again, this command which will, like, it will create a pod of your rtn scan qr and add it to your iOS project. And then you can run yarn iOS. So I will show you. So here you can see, like, this is a video from my iOS. So whenever I have scanned QR, you can see it is printed in the console. Now, to show you the inside how to use it, sorry, I have not shown you the guys that. So inside your app.tsx, you first have to import rtn scan qr. And if the platform is iOS, like for Android, I will show you, I have done it, like, it is a little bit complicated as compared to iOS. But for iOS, you can do something like this. For width and height, I'm passing the width and height which I get from Windows Dimensions, so I can occupy the entire screen of the device. So I'm passing height and width, and once a QR code has been scanned, it will print in the console. So value.native event. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Bye.